Hey, welcome to Branching Out. I'm Curtis Hanlon. We're out here in the greenhouse, and this week I just wanted to talk to all you people that are ready to start a food forest. And I'm going to give you 5 steps that I think you could use to help you be successful. And step number 1 is get your design. It's cold outside. It's minus 17, or it's supposed to feel like minus 17 here. It's 5 degrees in the greenhouse. We're in zone 6B, and I don't really want to do a lot outside. There's not much I can do in this kind of weather. So inside is where I do all my planning and designing and surfing for the next thing I want to put in my greenhouse, or just sales, you name it. All of that stuff I do now. So what you need to do, get yourself a piece of paper, graph, line, sketch paper, it doesn't matter, but get your designs out there. Get it on paper, start drawing it out. Are you gonna have, how much room do you have to work with? You got a big acre worth to work with? You got a 10 acres? You got just a small backyard like you're in the city? Yeah, start your design. Are you gonna put in raised beds? Is there gonna be a fountain? Is there gonna be a water tower? Is there all of these things? And get these main structures up, and the paths. Make sure you know where your paths are gonna be, because if you don't make them wide enough and you have a fairly large food forest like I do, it'd be really hard to transport soil and wood chips and plants when you can't squeeze your tractor between the 2 guilds. So I've been planning to keep all of that space, and that's what I've done. I've made lots of paths to make sure that I have a good, easy way in and out. So that's the plan. So keep that in mind, and where you're gonna put your raised beds, how many you're gonna have, how many guilds you have, and you can start kind of measuring it out in a rough sketch. See, and it's gonna evolve. By the time spring comes and you start doing it, you might realize, oh, I pushed this a little too far to the corner, or I forgot that there was a cement pad there, or I can't dig this because there's gravel, or something like that. I mean, so it's gonna evolve, but this is the time. Get in there, start doing your design, figure out what you want it to look like, what you want it to do for you. Do you want it to be medicinal? Do you want it to be fruit? Do you want it to be vegetables? Do you want it to be a little bit of everything? That's what I do. I do permaculture food forests, so I kind of stick to the principles of the food forest the best I can, but I also am very into aesthetics because I really like blossoms. I like to see the cherry blossoms. I really love cherries, so we've got a lot of cherries coming in this year. And like I said, I just want to come down and see apple blossoms and cherry blossoms, hear the birds chirping in spring and the bees buzzing and pollinating that fruit so that I can have a good harvest. So get your design and just keep evolving that design, keep looking into it, watch all your YouTube channels, watch all your, Google all you can, get your books, watch your seminars, watch your documentaries. That's what I did, that's how I got started, and I was just jealous as heck, so I went out there and I did it myself. So get your design going. Now, number 2, you're gonna wanna figure out where's your water coming from. So in my case, I collect rainwater. I also have 2 ponds, and I also have a small runoff creek at the back there that I also siphon from to fill up my ponds to keep my fish alive and some of my aquatic plants. I also collect rainwater off of this. This is pretty much a 71-foot greenhouse on one side, and I have 20 totes that hold 1,200 apiece. There's 2,400 liters of water that I collect in springtime for the drought season. I usually get a little bit of a drought, whether it's 3 weeks to 6 weeks long, and any rain we get would be so minimal it doesn't help much. But I do keep it just in case I need it. When I don't use it at the end, I just put it back into the pond, and we go ahead and do it again the next year. But I have water, and this water is mainly for this hill right here, and there's hardware and or piping down towards the swale down the bottom that goes into the ponds in order to keep my other plants in pots, because I keep my pots down there to start a watering system down there as well. Now, I just held off on that this year because last year, or pretty much the whole last year, I wasn't spending I was spending too much money on other things, so I didn't want to spend more money on hardware when it wasn't really important for me at the time. But definitely figure out where's your water coming from. Do you have a pond, you have a backyard, you suck it from a hose, are you collecting rain? It's all up to you, because I'll tell you right now, it's not easy if you have a fairly large, say you have a size this greenhouse, if you had to water stuff with just a watering can, you're gonna be there all day, and it's gonna take up maybe 2 hours of your time every 3 days. So, yeah, or maybe even every 2 days. So that's why I say make sure you know where your water's coming from. Okay, so step 3, you're still in the house, it's still wintertime. Get a list of all the fruit and vegetables you want to grow. Make sure you find out all the ones that you like the best and put them on the top of the list. I don't see why you'd want to grow something that you don't really like, unless you're in a place like this where it's large enough that I have a few things I don't care for and I just don't bother with. And I'll give you an example, like rose hips. Probably not going to eat rose hips, but if you don't have enough space, then you don't want to waste it on something you probably never will eat. But since mine are already here and they're already growing, I figure, why take them down? Someday, if there's ever a food crisis, which is always good to have a food forest in case of, you'll have something else. Rose hips are full of vitamin C. You pick them in the wintertime. They make good jams and jellies. You can eat them raw. You can cook them. You can make a tea out of them. But I'm just saying, it's one more thing that I don't normally eat. I've had one or two, but I don't really care for them. But they're here in case. The same thing with the Macintosh apple. I don't grow Macintosh apples. It was already here, but I had the room for it. If I didn't have the room for it, I'd probably take it down and put up something that I like a Red Delicious or another tree. I really like cherries, so I grow a lot of different types of cherries. So that's what I do to make sure that you have the fruit that you like. Because if you don't like it, again, why are you growing it? It's just going to grow, and it's going to be a pain in the bum, and yeah, don't do it. Now that you're still inside and you're getting ready, first you're gearing up for spring and all that stuff, right? Get online, start looking for what kind of trees and bushes do you want. You know what you want, you made your list. Now you got to figure out how much it's going to cost you to do it. Are you going to do it yourself? Are you going to get the seeds and germinate and or stratify? Because now is the time. Get them in the fridge, get them stratifying so that they're ready to be planted in the spring. And or if you're going out buying bare root, this is the time to get your orders in. And you can surf around, look for the best deal, the best prices. Look on Marketplace. Look on anything that you guys, wherever you are and where you're from and what your best source is look around. Maybe some friends have some stuff, but definitely this year I've been doing a lot of seeds myself, so I'm not really into buying. But when I started, my very first start, I got in the trees that I like the most right away. So that's step kind of 3 and 4 here, or 4 and 5, is you're gonna wanna get your trees in the ground. So if you already know what fruit trees you like the most, say you're in love with an Anjou pear or something like that, you've always wanted one, okay, get that first. That's the first thing you should do because they take the longest to grow. And you know the best thing they say, like the old cliche, is best time to grow a tree 20 years ago, right? So then you'd have fruit. So you can either go buy a tree that's ready to fruit in a year or two, or you can get bare roots, which take a couple more years, or you can grow it straight from seed. Either way, you want to get it in the ground very first thing. You can also put your other plants in as well, but your trees should be your number one priority as far as I'm concerned from my experience. Get those trees in, because I'm still putting in trees, and if I would have just concentrated on trees, I'd have them all in already, and then I could have put in the berries afterwards, which is okay, but that's fine. I just keep building this food forest every year. This is going on my 6th summer, and I just keep build. So yeah, get out there and get your food forest growing. It doesn't matter if you got like a 4x4 or 10x10 or 20x20 or an acre by an acre. It does not matter. You can make do with a food forest in your own way and grow the things you like the best and enjoy your harvest and the fruits of your labor, with pun intended. So I just wanted to bring that up. I thought maybe this might help some people if you're just starting your food forest. These are some of the things that I didn't think about, which is the water thing. I did have a design. I'll show you that. And I also made a list and everything. I had everything ready to go, but I bought a lot of my stuff, so I had to slow down and realize that I have a very large food forest and orchard to grow, that I had to start kind of making cuts. But I do have some of my favorite trees ready to give me fruit any year now. They were giving me a little bit so far, and we're getting ready for that. So keep that in mind, and I hope you guys are safe, and with all this snow out on there, keep between the parallels, and we'll see you next week, and we'll try to make another video.